Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk through this. But if any of you come to a free first Thursday, if you can put these things in Google Docs, that means we can all go dive into it and actually comment on it, which gets you more feedback, more bang for the buck. Okay. So who are you as a soul? That this is a question you deeply want answered. You may have a deep fear of missing out on experiencing a greater meaning in your life. It's time for you to know the spiritual truth of who you are and why you're here. With your life experience, you already have strong indicators and feelings of what your purposeful contribution is, but at times it can feel confusing and that you're encountering quite a bit of resistance within you or in the outside world. You know you will feel better once you have your spiritual answers, that you'll be able to move forward in a way that's aligned with your soul's visionary mission for this lifetime. Okay, I want to scroll down a bit. Okay, so how we help. We teach simple, grounded, practical, spiritual truth to give you the confidence and openness to receive your deepest answers through you. Channeling spirit, conscious subconscious healing, intuitive perspective. Okay, so here's the challenge so far is that it's up to this point, I think we could put a bunch of different company names on this of different companies who do similar things, and it would all still be true. Yeah, there's other people who teach all the same things. They teach channeling, healing and intuition stuff. They have schools, they have courses, and it's all the same content. And my guess is we could take everything that we've read so far, and this would still fit them, if that makes sense. So this is what you call the yellow pages test. If you remember the yellow pages, all these ads for plumbers, but so many of them were basically identical. You could just swap logos and phone numbers and the ads would still be true. So that's the next step of this is, I find myself curious, what is it that makes this unique? And there's sort of 6 things that you can think through. First, it's the who, what, where, when, why, and how. So it could be that what's unique about this is who this is for. There may be a particular group of people that you're wanting to help. Some people say, I want to work with single moms, or I want to work with Buddhists around this stuff, or I want to work with CEOs, or there's a whole bunch of who's that it could be. Could be what you're offering. Now, what you're offering is, you've already got this laid out. And if there was something very particularly unique, nobody else is doing it. If you're in town and you're the only yoga teacher in town, that's enough. That's the what. Just you're offering something nobody else is offering. It can be the who, what, where. So some people do the local version. I was just talking with a fellow in the UK, and he's really into Michael Mead, who's a mythologist. Yeah, but Michael Mead doesn't live in the UK. So you could be a local iteration of this. Sometimes people prefer to work with somebody locally. There's the when, time zones, but also times of the year, seasons of the year. Some people just don't work during certain seasons, and this is part of their niches. We only do these things during this season. Or when, why? So what is this about for you at a bigger level? Because if I were to ask, 10 people who teach basically the same things, why does this all matter so much? You would get different answers from each person. And sometimes that's what sets us apart. A clothing company. And for some of them, this is about feminism. And for some of them, and a certain kind of feminism. Others, it might maybe broader women's empowerment. Other ones, it's all about handmade, the importance of handmade, or the importance of craft, or see what I'm saying? The reasons that it's there may be different. So who, what, where, when, why, how? So the way that you do it, the approach that you take might be the thing that's different. I was just saying, at this point, nothing lands to me as like, oh, this is the thing that makes this stand out or is unique. And for a service, the easiest one to focus on, the fastest one is usually the who. Okay, right, who is this for? So here's a way you could imagine. If you imagine you're standing at a stadium in front of 60,000 people, and I say, here's the deal, Melissa, you're gonna get to ask 5 questions of them to help filter. At the end of that 5 questions, you're gonna be left with whoever you're left with. And they'll pay you, and that's great. But the catch is you have to work with them all. And it doesn't matter when, you can do it over years. But if I get one single complaint, you lose all the money. Yeah, imagine those stakes. So then I said, boy, I got to filter pretty hard in these 5 questions. I got to make sure that by the end of it, these are really just perfect, super ideal clients who are really going to be a fit, and therefore will be able to take whatever I offer and make the best use of it, because I don't want any complaints, because I don't want to lose the money. So that's some cogitation I would do on that, is how could I filter even more deeply for who this is the best fit for? And specific exercises, if you go to marketingforhippies.com/puttering prep, these are the exercises I give for the puttering sessions, specifically around niche and ideal client. And I would dive deep, deep, deep into those and then weave that into this, especially right near the top. Because what we want is when they arrive, the very first thing they should see is something that tells them just very specifically, is this for me? Yeah, you've already got some of it. I mean, not everybody's wondering, who am I as a soul? But everybody wants greater meaning in their life at some level. Here's one specific exercise you can do that will help a lot to clarify, is this could be a fit for you if you're into the following things. And you give like 5 bullet points. So for example, when you say spiritual, if you go to marketingforhippies.com/authors, you'll see a blog post about this, because this is a phrase people often say, oh, I like to work with spiritual people. But what you mean by spiritual, what I mean by spiritual may be totally different, because the word spiritual encompasses indigenous spirituality, Christian, Islamic, Judaic, Shinto, New Age, fundamentalist, Christian, like, you see what I'm saying? Pantheism, paganism, this is all spirituality. And so which ones you mean would help. Because if it's more you want people who are into Brene Brown and Eckhart Tolle, that's one thing. If you want people who are into the disappearance of the universe and conversations with God and Celestine prophecy, that's a different one. If you want people recovering from a fundamentalist religious upbringing, that's a different one still. If you want people who used to be atheist and are now discovering it. So what they're into already sometimes is the best way to filter, because they look and they say, oh my God, I'm totally into all those authors, all those teachers, all those philosophies, amazing. Those people are very likely to be a fit, because if they come thinking, oh yeah, spirituality, and they're expecting one kind of spirituality and they get something that's just so not aligned, no good. One of my clients, and old friend of mine, Carmen Spaniola in Victoria, on her website, she had the best bit, and she said, if you're into theosophy, ascended masters, and spiritual hierarchies, we're not a fit. That's what love looks like, being so clear with people. She just realized she had enough of those experiences and it just wasn't a fit for her. So she just tells people up front. So you can do that too. You can say, if you're into this, we're fit. If you're into these things and you're real committed to them, this is not going to work out. How does that all land for you?
Yeah, great feedback. Some of the interesting parts are, for me, a lot of what we do is offer, a spiritual truth to people that they may or may not resonate with. They can take it or not, but a lot of times we kind of introduce new to people, whether they're deep in metaphysical, and we would offer probably a different truth than what's common in metaphysical. Also, we've had, very devout, I've had a Catholic priest go through all my trainings. So I've had Christian people, and so a lot of it is us kind of introducing a new, simpler truth. And part of our mission is to, you could say, re-educate or educate people on a potential new belief that could resonate with them more. So I don't necessarily want to kick out other people's beliefs. I want to offer something that they may choose for themselves. If that makes sense.
It does. And I would submit that there are people who are going to be inherently a better fit for you than others. Yeah. There are people who are inherently just going to resonate and it's going to be easier. And there's people where it's going to be a struggle. If you imagine it like a target, like with a bullseye in the center, there are people who, when they show up, will be like, oh my God, this feels like home. I've been waiting for this my whole life. And then there are people who are going to say, my friend sent me and I don't want to be, And if you build your business model such that you're getting all of the outer ring, your life will become more miserable. And if it's all bullseye, your life will be wonderful. That doesn't mean you can be explicit without being exclusive. Being explicit about who this is the best fit for doesn't mean you turn people away. It just means you're talking to who you're talking to. And other people can come, but then at least they know who this is for and who it isn't for. So it may be the things I suggested, but that there are people who are a better fit for you than others, to me, that is just an absolute. That is for sure true. Not everybody's a fit for our work for a bunch of reasons, and reasons I can't think of right now. Maybe you can't think of right now, but there are reasons. And the better we can do at that filtering, the kinder that's going to be for everybody involved. So figuring out what those 5 questions you would ask to filter, that's the heavy lifting. But that there are 5 questions you might ask, that's to me a given. Because otherwise what happens is a lot of disappointment on their end and a lot of drama on our end. When it's not quite exactly what they wanted. And
Yeah, I get you. I think part of it, I was wondering if we started, for instance, publishing more, like you're talking about, our point of view, our kind of more raw truth, in blogs and emails, if that would help demonstrate the fit.
Huge. If they don't resonate with the pieces you share, they're probably not going to resonate with, paying for it. If they don't like the free stuff, they're not going to. Yeah, sharing point of view to me is one of the most practical, useful, important things that we can be doing in terms of filtering. Because every once in a while they read a zinger of yours, like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever come across. I need to check them out more and take another step. Versus we've probably all had people we read and we just think, wow, nope, couldn't disagree more. So obviously we're not going to take another step towards working with them. So yes, the content is a good filter. The filtering can be in the sales letter, but ideally, everyone who's looking at the sales letter is kind of already in. They're already, been pre-filtered. They already like your stuff. And now this is kind of details and logistics. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was also wondering about a big differentiator for us is our approach, like you mentioned, that we, what's different about us is we actually give people techniques they can reproduce. So for instance, a lot of people might go to a workshop, learn how to channel for the weekend, to go home, can't do it again. They can't tune in again. They can't get the feedback again. So we really teach people a step-by-step, learn this really well, and you can do this anytime.
Yes, but 2 things on that. One is a lot of people say that. That's number 1. A lot of, that claim can be made and is made by a lot of people. So then you need to back that up of here's how that's true. Here's the way we do it that makes it work better. And here's why this approach works. Because if otherwise it can sound like hype, it can sound like exaggeration, it can sound too good to be true. And as soon as we flip the switch on too good to be true, game over. They no longer trust us. All right, I got to move on. But
Thank you
so much for coming by.